Okay, welcome everyone to our webinar, our Paleo Webinar. My name is Dr. Ray Benedetto. I will be presenting tonight with my wife, my partner in crime, Dr. Alison Benedetto. I'm glad you were able to all join us this evening. Before we go ahead and get into the specifics, obviously the reason we wanted to put on this webinar tonight is I know there's a lot of buzzwords out there tonight, buzzwords out there in the healthcare industry that have to do with diets and paleo and keto and what have you, and we get lots of questions about a paleo type diet, and we typically recommend a paleo type diet to most of our patients. So we kind of wanted to do an overview tonight about some of the ins and outs and what is a paleo diet and how do I implement it and what food should I be eating and what food should I not be eating. You know, we get a lot of these questions, so we wanted to kind of do an overview tonight. This is by no means an exhaustive course on a paleo diet or your individual diet plan that you may need. So obviously, if you have questions, we encourage those towards the end, and we'll give you access to us and our contact information in case you have additional questions. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. Again, I am Dr. Ray Benedetto, and my wife, Dr. Alison Benedetto. We practice together in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. We are chiropractors in private practice and have a functional medicine practice, if you will. Nowadays, that's functional nutrition. We do a lot of nutritional therapy with our patients, a lot of dietary work with our patients, a lot of exercise work with our patients. You can see the whole clan right there. That's myself and my wife, Allison, our 3 children, Frank, Marcella, and Anna. So that's the whole crew right there. And our passion is seeing patients in practice and helping our friends and family motivate them to achieve what they want to do in life in regards to their health and their goals. So what we're going to do tonight is kind of go, you know, from beginning to end, soup to nuts, if you will, pun intended. A quick overview. Again, if you have questions, I'm going to repeat this again in case for any late joiners. If you have questions, you should have a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Go ahead, click that, type your question. We will answer all questions at the end of the presentation. All right, we're going to start off with a couple of quick questions, which you can see on the screen. We're going to elaborate on some of these. And these are things we ask our patients every day, right? Because these are things that we feel and we feel that everybody should feel. If you had energy, you were pain-free, you didn't have to think about how ill you felt every day, right? What would your life be like? If you didn't have to worry about food, like, gosh, what am I going to eat today? Is this a calorie I should be eating? Is this a calorie I got to burn off? What if instead you weren't a slave to, gosh, I need sugar all day, I need a sandwich all day? What if you were able to actually achieve your health goals and eat things that were actually good for you, right? That's what we're going to talk about today, is a paleo lifestyle. So as we go through this evening tonight, I want you to keep these questions in mind, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive in and get started. A couple of quick housekeeping measures. You don't see these resources in front of you, but all of the resources that we've used for this evening's presentation, we've compiled websites, research, what have you. If you want them, please contact us. We will give them to you. They're available upon request. Email us. You're going to have our contact information at the end of the presentation. So let us know, you know, if you want them. Email, telephone, you can answer. You can reach out to us. We'll be here for you.
Actually, we just had a comment that there seems to be an echo coming through. So if you want to give us just a moment, we're going to try to take care of that really quick. Sorry about that. Okay, so again, like we had said, this is a new software we're using, so we're just trying to figure out the kinks here, but hopefully that has rectified that situation. So if someone wants to make a comment there, just let us know for coming through clearly. That'd be great. Okay, so what does it mean to follow a paleo lifestyle? The paleo diet is often called the caveman diet, the primal diet, or Stone Age diet. But it really should be considered a lifestyle rather than a, quote, diet. Paleo is really all about balance. It lays the foundation for eating a healthy diet while maintaining an optimal level of activity, but then also an optimal level of mindfulness. The premise is that all of the food that you are eating is directly sourced from nature, as our ancestors had hunted and gathered during the Paleolithic era. But before the birth of agriculture, about 10,000 years ago, humans did not eat grains, beans, starchy vegetables, which are your potatoes, beans, milk, or added sugars or salt. But today, approximately 61% of humans' calories are from foods that were unknown to us in our bodies prior to the start of food processing. Okay. You guys can hear me okay? Just give us 1 second here.
Just go. It's all mine.
Okay. So before we can get into the paleo lifestyle and diet, I definitely think we need to address the issue of sugar and processed food epidemic. We all know that this has become a major problem in our society, and sadly, people are eating more sugar now than ever. According to the 2015 Dietary Guideline Advisory Committee, Americans are consuming on average about 160 pounds of sugar per year per person. And more shockingly, in a study published in JAMA Internal Medicine, you can see findings of a 15-year-long study on sugar and cardiovascular disease mortality in the US. Subjects who consumed 25% of their daily calories from sugar were more than twice as likely to die from heart disease than those who had consumed less than 10% of their calories from added sugar. And then furthermore, the odds of dying rose along with the percentage of sugar in the subject's diet. So, and this correlation was actually consistent across the board, regardless of your gender, age, activity level, and BMI. And it's kind of frightening because the standard American diet that most people consume today is full of sugar and processed foods. And then this kind of is the catalyst that leads us to a whole host of chronic diseases. I'm just going to go a little off topic here a moment because I think it's important to address when you talk about chronic diseases. I mean, you look at things like childhood obesity, diabetes, hypertension. I gathered some research, and in a most recent state-by-state data from the 2016 National Survey of Children's Health, combined overweight and obesity rates for youths ages 10 to 17 range from 19.2% to 37.7% of overweight or obese children. So Pennsylvania was actually ranked the 21st state in the U.S. With 31.7% of youth aged 10 to 17 who were obese. So it's just kind of scary, especially if you have children, just to hear those statistics. Also, hypertension in the U.S. 1 in 3 adults has high blood pressure, which is a leading cause of stroke. And approximately 30% of hypertension cases may be attributed to obesity and diet. So people who are overweight are more likely to have high blood pressure, high levels of blood fats, high LDL, which is the bad cholesterol. And all of these things can be directly attributed to diet. So, so with that, let's go back kind of and discuss a little bit more about the standard American diet versus the paleo lifestyle. Move the slide. Okay. So on your screen here, you see 2 photos. The one on the left is a picture of the quote standard American diet, where the acronym is actually SAD, which is kind of sad. And then on the right is a picture of more of the foods that you would eat within a paleo lifestyle. So the photo on the right obviously shows, you know, your lean protein, vegetables, seasonal fruit, nuts, seeds, and we'll get into more detail about the specific foods. But eating that particular type of diet helps prevent and decrease inflammation and chronic disease. And that's really what it's all about. Because the modern diet of refined foods, which you see on the left-hand side, is completely different from the way early humans ate. And an interesting study in the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report from 2015 actually said that only 9% of adults meet the intake recommendations for vegetables, and only 12% of adults met the recommendations for fruit. So that is very scary. So hopefully, if you are one of those few people who are eating your fruits and vegetables, awesome job. And you know, if you're not quite there yet, hopefully by the end of our presentation, we would have kind of shifted your mindset that you are considering more fruits and vegetables.
I just want to chime in here, because that's what you get with the Drs. Benedetto, that here's the sad thing. There actually is a morbidity and mortality weekly report that the CDC puts out. And the United States of America probably is the only country that has one of those reports, because of the screen you're seeing in front of you right now. This is what we eat. And on the right side of your screen is what most of the rest of the world eats. And there's a reason why we're sick and diabetic and chronically ill, and the rest of the world is not. So sorry, I couldn't resist.
Okay, so we're going to move on now and discuss in a little bit more detail foods to avoid and foods to eat. So I like to always end on a high note. So first, let's talk about the foods that we're going to avoid, and then we'll follow that up with what to eat. And I'm sure at this point, this is not a surprise when you read the things that are on this list, because we all know that these are the things that we shouldn't really be eating anyway, but we are going to go over it with you. So first off the bat, added sugar, sugar in general, artificial sweeteners, just very, very bad for the body and promotes inflammation. Also within the paleo lifestyle, again, we're going back to how our ancestors ate. So dairy wasn't readily available, so we eliminate dairy. Grains, specifically gluten grains, but also your gluten-free grains, those are avoided. Beans and legumes, which would include your peanuts, soy, kidney beans, any kind of bean, those are avoided, as well as your hydrogenated oils, and also the vegetable oils. So you can see there things such as margarine, soybean oil, corn oil, peanut oil, all of those things which have come about through processing foods. So with that behind us, let's focus on the benefits. So again, if you look at that little food pyramid, it's quite different from anything that we're used to seeing as a food pyramid, but you can see if you start from the bottom and work your way up, vegetables. Vegetables are the foundation of paleo diet. Organic is best if you can get them. They can be fresh, frozen, raw, doesn't matter how you eat them, just as long as you eat them. Grass-fed organic animal proteins such as your beef, chicken, turkey, organ meats are great, things like liver. I'll be honest, I can't say I've ever had liver, but it is one of the great foods out there. Eggs, wild-caught fish, and pasture-raised pork. Nuts and seeds occasionally, obviously very good source of fat and protein, but again, hunters and gatherers wouldn't sit down and eat cups and cups of nuts and seeds. It was just whatever you can find. The healthy fats, so animal fat, coconut oil, avocado oil, olives, ghee. Ghee, if you're not sure of what ghee is actually clarified butter. So what that means, and on the previous slide we said no dairy, but ghee is okay because with clarified butter, what you're doing is removing most of the dairy proteins, which is the problem, the protein. So basically you heat the butter on a very low heat so the moisture can evaporate, and then the proteins float to the top, and then you're left with the full fat, and that's what you're looking for. Now, however, I should note that if you do know that you have a dairy sensitivity, then ghee may be something that would cause issue for you, so you would want to avoid that. Moving on, the fruits. Fruit is good. However, you want to try to just stick to fruits that are in season. So, pineapples in the winter in our area, not a good idea. But seasonal fruits in moderation are fine. And then other things like your kombucha tea, your herbal teas, and definitely water. So let's just take a moment to talk about water here. And obviously, many benefits of water. They increase speed of metabolism, increases muscle tone, aids in digestion, prevents fatigue, supports detox. We get a lot of questions, how much water should you really drink? And, you hear 8 glasses of water a day, but actually the better guide is half of your body weight in ounces of water a day is really what you want to strive for. So you can gradually ramp that up if you're not quite there, but staying hydrated is essential for overall health in general, but then also it's a key component of the paleo lifestyle.
Now, as you can see on this next slide, we think, okay, what's my rationale? What's my motivation for eating this way, right? I know if I were you, I'd be sitting there, I'd be saying, okay, look, I hear you saying this, I get it, it's all good for me. Where's the research, right? Seems a little bit too good to be true that if I eat this way, I can reduce heart disease, I can reduce diabetes, I can reduce all these things. So on the screen right now, there's a terrific resource, various published and reviewed research on the paleo diet dating back 30 years. You can see it right there, paleodiet.com /research. You can find a ton of forward slash, whatever it's called. You can find a ton of stuff on there. Everything that we're doing tonight is researched. Again, if you would like the the research that we have, just let us know. We'll send it to you. There's a terrific resource right there.
Okay, so one of the other things that you've probably have seen when looking at paleo lifestyle is people do it for weight loss. So let's take a step back. My husband, Dr. Ray, had mentioned, we see patients every day that we counsel on nutrition, and we utilize paleo eating for our patients as well as ourselves. We do it to address chronic inflammation, autoimmune conditions, and as an added benefit to that, you do lose weight. So weight loss is obviously is a plus. In our practice, it's not always our main focus, but shifting the way you eat to this type of eating can definitely promote weight loss. And you're not counting calories, you're not measuring anything, you're not counting points, at least initially. Once you get into the groove and you're rocking and rolling and you want to fine tune things, then if it comes to measuring or tracking macros or something like that, you can do that. But for our purposes today, I just wanted to put that out there, that our focus isn't just about weight loss. It's more of about addressing the health issues that then result in weight loss. But it is good to point out, though, that eating a paleo lifestyle can help with weight loss, because unfortunately there's a common misconception that eating less is the answer to weight loss. And now that might help a few people, but the overwhelming majority of people taking that type of approach does not work. It actually is counterintuitive, and more important to focus on quality over quantity. And that is what the paleo lifestyle is about. And that's the approach that we take with our patients. So quality. So on your screen there, you see things like words taurine, omega-3 fats, fiber. So the paleo menu is full of those things. Taurine helps propel fat cells into weight loss mode. This is done by reducing inflammatory signals to the fat cells and basically improving the way that the fat tissues are sensitive to insulin. Omega-3s, which are your fish oils, they help also in pushing fat cells into that, quote, weight loss mode by improving metabolic health and then also lowering inflammation. So omega-3 fish oils are awesome anti-inflammatory components. And then lastly, of course, fiber. So paleo diet, you're eating a lot of great vegetables, some of the fruits, and fiber helps you feel fuller, keeps you regular, helps to prevent those blood sugar spikes. So again, with this way of eating, you're eliminating processed foods, and you basically are reprogramming your fat cells for a more efficient weight loss.
Now, questions we get all the time. If I'm eating this type of diet, how's my exercise gonna work? How am I gonna be athletic? How am I gonna hit the weights? How am I gonna run the half marathon, right? Because you're thinking carbs, right? You're thinking carbohydrates. That's what you do, right? You load with carbohydrates before you begin a half marathon or something, a long endurance challenge. So it's a myth. So there's tons of research. Again, we'll provide it if you need it, showing that paleo type lifestyles and paleo type diets can provide numerous athletic benefits, including improved muscle recovery. If anybody's lifted weights, what do? They load proteins, right? Improving digestion, improving more efficient absorption of nutrients. What could be better than improving gut control, right? how your gut absorbs nutrients. Improving blood sugar control, so glucose control. So you're not, up and down with blood sugar all day. You're not crashing and I need a nap midday and those kinds of things. Improving your brain function, right? Cognitive abilities and focus. Or if your brain's getting proper nutrition, it's going to work better. So overall, what we're talking about with a paleo lifestyle and a paleo diet is the nutrition that you need to have sustained energy and the ability to grow and maintain muscle, strengthen our immune system, and keep our brain healthy. Some fun facts out there, right? Many of you have seen, many of you are aware of some athletes that follow this type of protocol. And one of the most famous ones is Tom Brady. He's very famous for noting how he follows a paleo type lifestyle. If you Google the guy and watch some of his interviews, he'll say the guy doesn't eat sugar. I've heard him say he's never had a strawberry, for gosh sakes. I mean, he follows everything we're telling you today with no refined foods, no processed foods, no sugars, no grains, no dairy. The top athletes in the world, Tom Brady is 40 years old. He is a quarterback in the NFL, which most of you obviously know who he is, at an age where nobody is performing at the level he is. And he attributes almost all of it to living this type of lifestyle, to eating this type of diet, and to exercising and training his body the way that we're talking about today. Let's talk real quick about some studies. Well, I know most of you get bored with studies, I'm sure, but we're going to hit some of the high notes as far as why what we're talking about today you need to listen to. So here's a quick one: paleo diet, disease prevention, right? So the beneficial effects of a Paleolithic diet on cardiovascular risks, right? What are the top 3 killers in the world here? We're talking cancer, we're talking cardiovascular risk. Type 2 diabetes is what nobody wants. Here's the conclusion: 3-month study, Paleolithic diet, improved blood sugar control, and several cardiovascular risk factors compared to diabetics, patients with type 2 diabetes.
And if I could just interject there, this is actually, if you read through this study, it's compared to the diabetes diet, quote, that is prescribed to diabetics. So it's when you go to your doctor or nutritionist and you're a type 2 diabetic, the diet that they give you, that is the diet protocol that was compared to the Paleolithic diet in this particular study. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
I like it. Up next, autoimmune disease, paleo lifestyle, right? Autoimmune disease is, we have some slides further along here, exploding in the United States. We're talking things like rheumatoid arthritis and Hashimoto's disease and all kinds of things, right? So again, conclusion: dietary elimination can improve symptoms and endoscopic inflammation. Endoscopic, we're talking about digestive inflammation in patients with irritable bowel disease, right? So again, the bottom, supporting the use of dietary modifications as an adjunct to irritable bowel disease therapy. Clinical remission, that means they can't detect it, was achieved by week 6 of study participants. That's a large proportion of study participants. Good stuff. Let's talk about some paleo myths we're going to debunk, right? Because everyone thinks like, well, gosh, when I eat paleo, this is going to be a challenge, right? Okay, maybe a little, but let's debunk some of these myths. The first one we hear is, gosh, I got to be like a dude, right? I got to be like a caveman from thousands of years ago. This one obviously seems a little bit obvious, but we've covered how realistic this diet is. It's not crazy. You don't have to go kill a deer with your hands and drag it back and eat it, right? It's vegetables and meats and healthy fats. Number 2, paleo is a fad, right? Calling paleo a fad gets confusing. It's a lifestyle. This is, I don't even like using the word diet. We see patients all day, every day, and I hate using the word diet because diets mean that you're going to do something for a short period of time, then you're going to stop doing it and go back to doing what you normally do. This is a lifestyle. We have to make changes, right? We want to feed our bodies with nutrients, foods that we are designed to eat for a very long time. Number 3, it's an unbalanced, I got to eat meat all day. All I got to do is eat protein, right? Meat equates to about 50% max of a paleo diet, right? We don't want people eating meat all the time, all day, every day.
If you remember that food pyramid, again, the non-starchy vegetables should really be your foundation. So think green leafy vegetables, your cruciferous vegetables. Those are your cabbage, your broccoli, cauliflower. Those are the types of things that you want to have be the majority of what you're eating.
Number 4, portions are too small. Again, we talked about this earlier. We're not counting calories. We're not measuring food. We're eating calorie-dense foods. We're eating when we're hungry. We're not eating when we're full. So it may seem like you're eating less and you're eating more frequently, but you're going to be satisfied.
Yeah, actually, sorry, if you can't tell, I love the nutrition part of it, and I love vegetables. So this part just really gets me excited, as sad as that might sound. But so yeah, exactly what Dr. Ray just said. So if you look at a cup of broccoli versus a cup of rice or a cup of pasta, you know, it may seem less in volume, but the denseness of that broccoli will fill you up so much more than that cup of pasta, and then you're just satiated longer, and then you're not, you know, looking for more food an hour after you eat. So you're swapping out those poor food choices with eating foods that are calorie dense that will fill you up.
And look, here's the reality. What happens, right? We all eat the standard American diet, fast food, breads, grains, processed things. We eat a ton of that stuff, and an hour later we're hungry again, right? We're overeating because our body's just burning it up, and we got no nutritional value from it. Myth number 5, it's too expensive. Oh my gosh, am I gonna eat this way? I gotta buy organic stuff, I gotta buy this, I gotta buy that. Look, here's the reality. Vegetables are not expensive. Sure, organic might be a little more expensive compared to non-organic, but there's a reason why you got to pay a few extra bucks as opposed to buying something in a box. It's because that thing you buy in a box is going to kill you, and paying a few extra bucks is obtaining actual food that's going to fuel your body and keep you healthy. That's what it comes down to.
Okay. Next thing here is, let's move the slide. All right. So if you are out and about and you do see something that is packaged that has, you know, paleo food or paleo approved on it, definitely read the labels. Paleo brand food is no exception to anything else. And because more and more people are becoming aware of the paleo lifestyle, it's used as a marketing ploy, unfortunately. So definitely what you want to look at ingredients. So you know what is and what is not paleo friendly. So you would kind of skim the ingredients and just make sure there's nothing added in there, sweeteners, additives, preservatives, or other things that's on the no list. Read the nutritional facts. Pay attention to the macronutrient profile. Your macronutrients are your carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Look at it and just kind of get a good feel for what those nutritional values are, and compare prices. You know, you might be paying more for something that says it's quote paleo just because it says it's paleo, but you can find the exact same thing that is quote non-paleo branded, but it's still perfectly fine to eat. So that kind of goes back to that myth that it has to be expensive, and it doesn't have to be. You just have to educate yourself and kind of just read those labels.
Here's the deal, gang. there are obviously more guidelines in a paleo diet versus a standard American diet or a SAD diet, right? It's easy to follow a standard American diet because all you gotta do is walk into a grocery store or walk into a fast food restaurant or walk into any restaurant really, and you're gonna find food that tastes good, it's quick and easy to make, and it's terrible for you, right? So make sure you're not limiting yourself to only the foods that taste good, right? I mean, not that paleo foods can't taste good, but just don't, it's not that quick and easy, right? Very often there are quick changes to a recipe, to be honest with you, that you already eat that make it paleo friendly, right? Simple Google searches, things like that. Do a little digging. It's not hard. The key to this is we want to make it fun. This is what we do with our patients. We want to tell them, look, we're going to make these changes, but we don't want this to feel like a drag. Like, we're going to make it fun. We're going to give you recipes. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you plans. I mean, and invariably patients do this in a week or two, and they come back and they're like, sure, it was a little tough at first, but my gosh, I never realized how good food could taste again, to be honest with you, and how good I could feel, like how much energy I have and how better I'm sleeping and how my mood is improving and things like that. So, I mean, it's not, you know, what you put in your body is what your body's going to give back to you.
And I know, so on your screen here, you just see there's a few recipe links there, which we can email those to you if you want. Just in the Q&A, just shoot us a little message that you'd like to the recipes. But honestly, if you Google anything paleo, you'll come up with a ton of recipes there. And on this slide here, so we've spent the majority of the time talking about the food, but paleo lifestyle isn't just about what you eat, but it's also about how you live your life. So these are other important, very important things to consider. Eliminate external stresses in your life. So, I mean, we're all stressed out. We all get bombarded with different things every day. Practice meditation, yoga. Distance yourself from people who make you unhappy. That's a big one. Play in the sun. Make that vitamin D. Have fun. Laugh. Smile. Just things to break that stress. This next one, don't over-exercise. Exercise was not designed to be these long, epic cardio sessions. I mean, I've been there. I know how that feels. But keep your training sessions short. Make them short and intense. Get the most bang for your buck. You do them a couple of times a week. Think more functional movements, so quick sprints or jumping up and down. Intensity is the key. You want them to be intense for a shorter duration. And more importantly, if you are tired, take time off. Take a break. It's okay. It's normal for your body to need that rest. And then speaking of rest, sleep. Sleep is key. We all get not nearly enough sleep. 8 hours is what we need to shoot for per night. Tips like avoiding screen time the hour before bed. Keep your cell phone away from your bed. Keep it out of your bedroom if you can. Try to wake up without an alarm. Go to bed when it's dark and get up as the sun is coming up if you can. But again, it's not just about what you're eating. It's about how you live your life.
Questions we obviously get all the time in regards to, well, okay, if I'm eating this way, are there certain nutritional supplements I need to be taking? There are some core things that we usually recommend. Vitamin D, I would hope everybody on this call right now, on this webinar right now, is probably taking vitamin D. I mean, it's a no-brainer. We're all deficient in vitamin D just because of where we live, and we typically need to supplement with it. We're out in the sun all the time. I take it. Things like probiotics. We want good gut health, right? Things like magnesium. Most of us are deficient. Things like antioxidants. Most of us need them. I mean, there's some core things. We recommend things like curcumin extracts, like turmeric and spices and things to use on your food. I mean, these are all things that the key is anti-inflammatory, and gut health, right? You want a healthy functioning digestive tract, and you want to do things that are going to keep inflammation at bay, both from a dietary standpoint and from a nutritional standpoint, things like you see on the screen. Some other great resources and paleo resources. We did not write any of these books. We get no royalties from any of these books, but there's a lot of good stuff out there, right? So things like Paleo Diet, Paleo Blueprint. Mark Sisson has a lot of great products out there, food products.
Actually, Mark Sisson has a website kind of blog. It's called Mark's Daily Apple. There's some really great information there. He does have some paleo products, like Dr. Ray said. There's a avocado mayo, things that you may want to swap out for your traditional non-paleo things, in addition to obviously the fruits, veggies, and meats. But check his stuff out. Another one, the last one there, that Nom Nom Paleo, that's a really funny cookbook and book. The author, Michelle Tam, she's pretty funny. So she kind of brings it down to the most basic level, uses an Instapot for almost every recipe. So they're pretty easy recipes. So that's another really great resource.
Now, we get it right now. This is a ton of stuff coming at you. A lot of information, and probably most of you are like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. You feel overwhelmed, you feel excited, maybe confused. That's good stuff, right? Those are good things. And those are the emotions and the feelings that will drive you to say, okay, look, I get it. It makes sense. These are things I need to do with my life. I need to eat a diet that's closer to this. I need to live a higher quality of lifestyle with stress management and sleep and all the things we talked about for myself, for my family, all those kinds of things, right? I want more energy. I want better self-esteem. I want better digestive function. I want all those kinds of things, right? So we're going to go ahead and just cut right into a Q&A right now. But we want to let you know, obviously, that we live this ourselves, and we do this all day with our patients. So, I mean, if you're on this webinar or you're watching this video and you're like, you know what, I need a little bit of help with this. I got to get my lifestyle together. I got to get my diet together. There's our contact information, phone number, email. We do phone conversations. We do in-person conversations. We do Skype and Zoom meetings, all that kind of stuff. If you have a question right now, and we have a Q&A open at the bottom, obviously, raise your hand and ask a question. We will answer them live. If you wrote down a question that you had tonight and you have a question, fire it away, and we will ask it. We will answer it. You ask it, we will answer it, and we'll do those live right now. Just give 1 sec to get a couple of questions coming in.
Okay, so question, are there other recommendations, options for paleo-approved drinks besides water, or water with fruit in it and tea? You can do any type of seltzer type water, kombucha tea. Coffee is actually okay. The issue with coffee is more of what goes into your coffee than the coffee itself. So what you would want to do with the coffee, just make sure it's organic, and you're using coconut milk. If you do have to do sweetener, you would want to do coconut sugar or actual natural stevia extract would be okay there. As far as, we get a lot of questions on alcohol. And alcohol, obviously, beer is made from grains, so that would be out. The mixed drinks, some of those are made from potatoes or, some of your vodkas, so those kind of don't fall into there. Almond milk, actually, that would be okay because that is nuts and seeds. So we're doing that sparingly. So that's perfectly fine. Black beans. I'm getting a question about black beans. Within the paleo diet, if I breezed over this, I apologize. Beans and legumes are would be something that you would avoid. So that does include black beans there again. So that would fall under the beans and legumes category that you would avoid. Taurine, you can actually, someone asked, how do we get taurine into our bodies? You can find that in supplement form pretty easily, but it's also in the animal proteins. So any of your lean meats, you know, ideally grass-fed beef, the pasture-raised pork, those kinds of things, you can get taurine from those sources. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. All right. Well, guys, we thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. We had a great time again. New system that we were working on. So the beginning, we were just trying to figure out the kinks. So thank you for being patient. Oh, one last question. What about a glass of wine? So wine in and of itself, obviously, if you're talking red wine, there's a lot of really great things. Resveratrol is in the grapes with red wine. So the one caution with that and would be the sugar. So I would say initially, if you're transitioning into this, you would want to avoid that initially for several weeks. When we do this with our patients, we cut out alcohol for at least 4 weeks, and then at that point in time would possibly reintroduce it. So so that might be a strategy that you'd want to employ, but again, it would be sparingly. You wouldn't want to overconsume because of the sugar. And with wine, the more is better approach is not quite accurate. Ghee. Okay, one other question. Someone's asked, I mentioned ghee. Is there another alternative? So, so there are a lot of alternatives. Ghee, again, that's the clarified butter. So that is from dairy. So your other alternatives, you can find coconut butter. So it's like coconut oil, but from the coconut. So that would be perfectly fine to do instead of ghee. You can do things like lard, tallow for your fats. Those are okay. You can actually, if you're cooking up some uncured nitrate-free bacon, you can save that bacon grease. And then if you're going to saute some greens or something, you can use a little bit of the bacon fat that you have saved. So those are all some options for non-dairy fats.
Always love the late questions. Come fast and furious at the end. Any other questions? Go ahead, fire them in now. If not, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. And I want to thank everyone for being here this evening. Again, if you have any questions, you want to email us.
Yeah, you can most certainly email us at any time. Call the office with any questions. If you want any of the recipes or the resources, just shoot us an email. We'd be more than happy to get that out to you. We've recorded this webinar, so we can get you the recording as well. If you wanted to listen to it again or share it with some friends, family, not a problem.
Yes, and again, just to kind of elaborate on what Dr. Alison just said, we have recipes, resources, anything you need, we have. So if you want it, shoot us an email. There's our email there. We'll get you anything and everything we have and things that we do with our patients and things that we do in our lives. You know, the one final point I want to drive home here, as you can see on your screen, is these are lifestyle changes. I hate telling patients that they're going to be put on a diet or that someone needs to go on a diet. This is, you know, and we hated to just breeze over some of the stuff at the end there, but for the sake of time, you know, this is a lifestyle situation. This is not just, I'm going to go on this diet for 30 days and 30 days later, I'm going to be right back to where I was. This is comprehensive. This is diet. This is exercise. This is nutrition. This is stress management. These are all things that we do one-on-one with our patients to help get them on that path, that things they're going to need, because we get it. Sometimes you just can't do it on your own. You're like, I don't even know where to start, you know? So, you know, we get it. We totally get it. And, you know, if you guys have any questions, fire them at us. That's why we're here. And that's why we're providing our contact information. If you have issues, let us know. We had one last question. Foods to eat, foods to avoid.
Yeah, to show the slides again.
Go ahead, we'll slide back. If any of you guys on this call right now or on this webinar want these slides, we can get this to you. It's not a problem. We can go ahead and send you the PowerPoint. And if you have any questions, you let us know. Those are your foods to avoid. I mean, some of it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Your junk, your dairy, your grains, beans and legumes. Some, you know, I get it. You think, oh, those are good for me. Your hydrogenated oils, all your vegetable oils are no good. Your animal oils, your omega-3 oils, your animal fats, things like that, those are fine. But all the processed oils, again, again, kind of a last, you know, bit of wisdom, if you will, things that we talk about all day, every day in the office with patients. And I don't mean this to keep it, you know, to dumb it down, but it really does make sense. If God made it, you can eat it, right? And if man made it, you probably don't want to, right? So God made animals, God made fish, God made nuts and seeds and vegetables and fruits and all that kind of stuff. God didn't make artificial sweeteners and Coca-Cola and all the hybridized wheat we have and GMO soy and hydrogenated vegetable oils. He just it didn't exist 1,000 years ago. It didn't. So if I could leave you with that thought, that would be my only one, was keep it simple. Eat things that come from the earth, that are naturally made, that are organic, that God made, and stay away from the junk. You guys know what the junk is.
All right, guys. Thank you. It's been great. And we'll be putting out additional webinars in the coming weeks. So just keep your eyes peeled for those. And yeah, thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hope this information was valuable, and we'll see you on the next webinar.